What sets humans apart from other plant eaters? I think we're made to be on a vegan or mostly plant based diet. That's why I've been on it for 7 years now. I feel healthier than ever. There's a lot of data showing that people on vegan diets, people on mostly plant based diets, live longer, are at a healthier weight, less heart disease, less cancer, less diabetes. So, but the question is, if we are made to eat plants, and there's so many other animals that eat so many plants, what sets us apart? Why do we have big brains? Why have we built cities? Why can we talk? What sets us apart from other plant-eating animals? Hello everyone, I'm Tom Zanton, and today I'm going to talk about what I think is the difference between us and all the other plant-eating animals out there. So, I think there are two main things that set us apart from other plant-eating animals. Like I said, I think there's a lot of good evidence to show that generally the more plants you eat, the healthier you are. Heart disease, cancer, lower cholesterol, better blood sugar control. If you're eating a plant-based diet, especially centered around whole plant foods, you're almost certainly going to be healthier than if you're not. But there are questions of anti-nutrients and do you need to supplement a few things? The answer is yes. So how do we explain those, first of all? And also, if we are meant to be on a plant-based diet, but there are all these other herbivores in the world, what actually set us apart that led to our big brains, that led to us doing all these things? And I think the answer is basically two things. I think, one, we are made to eat a different type of plants than most other plant-eating animals. And then we have a way to enhance those plants. First, the plants that I think we're made to eat are root vegetables. Most herbivores eat above ground vegetables. They don't have as many calories. They sometimes don't have the same nutritional bang for their buck as root vegetables do. Now, that's not to say that they're not healthy and that you shouldn't eat them, because you should eat your greens, you should eat broccoli, you should eat berries. But I don't think those are the foundation of a human diet. And I also don't think that grains or beans are the foundation of a human diet either. Those, we can really only get huge quantities of those in a day now that we're in a farming society. But I think root vegetables would have been the foundation of a plant-based human diet for years and years and years. That would have been how we got enough calories to fuel big brains. It would have been how we got enough nutrients and how we fed our gut bacteria, which seem to be made to eat root vegetables. And then when you do, those gut bacteria produce some other vitamins that might be low in root vegetables, or they help you convert certain nutrients. They help you make the most of the rest of your diet. And yes, they would, early humans would have supplemented with leaves and fruits, nuts and seeds, occasional grains or beans or animal foods. Early humans were not on a vegan diet. They were on a survivalist diet. But the easiest way to survive, if you're a tall, lanky, weak, slow animal like us, is to avoid dangerous animals. So how would they have avoided dangerous animals while also getting a huge amount of nutrition? That ties into the second thing, which is that root vegetables, coincidentally, some of them have double their caloric value when you cook them. Okay, so like a potato, if you were to eat it raw, which I do not suggest that you do, if you were to eat it raw, it would have about half the calories that it does after you cook it. So root vegetables plus fire would have been a tremendous nutritional combination. It would have helped us fuel bigger brains as early humans progressed and got more and more mastery of fire. Then that would have provided a nutritional boost each time that they moved up the ladder on fire use. But also, the fire obviously would have been beneficial for safety purposes as well. That's how we can have these weak and slow bodies and still dominate and take over the world. Not only are we smart, but the main thing that we have is that we control fire. So a lot of people will say, oh, well, once humans started hunting, then carnivore diversity went down. But no, that doesn't make that much sense. Like, are you seriously saying that an herbivore, and pretty much everyone agrees that Australopithecus, at least, like 4 million years ago, or 3 million years ago, like, they were an herbivore. And then maybe Homo habilis was scavenging a little bit. And then Homo erectus was such a good hunter that it drove other carnivores to extinction. Like, that doesn't make sense. What could make sense is if we say, hey, Homo erectus and Homo habilis were kind of playing with fire a little bit. Homo erectus especially, Homo habilis less. Homo erectus was maybe playing with fire a little bit, and that burned down the habitats for all these other animals. And once we have habitat loss, that's like the real main driver of extinction and endangerment among not just animals but also plants, any species. The real the real risk of endangerment is habitat loss. And if you're playing with fire and you mess up, and they wouldn't have known what they were doing, so they probably would have messed up a lot, then that can burn the forest down. And hey, look, all these other animals just lost their habitat. Whoops. To me, this is the not so exciting explanation, but it's like the way more obvious one. A combination of root vegetables and fire would have been absolutely tremendous. I think as humans progressed in their ability to use fire, first just not being afraid of it, I think that's when you see the first Homo habilis. Homo habilis, I don't think, was afraid of fire. So they would go into these burnt habitats, places where there had been a wildfire. They were maybe the first ones there. They would forage. They would dig for root vegetables, which were maybe partially cooked. They get a slight nutritional advantage and a slight safety advantage from taking slight nutritional and safety benefit from taking advantage of those areas. Then I think Homo erectus, the second stage of fire use, is controlling it, harnessing natural wildfires. I think Homo erectus was probably controlling and harnessing natural wildfires, maybe spreading them, making them a little bit bigger, and then they had a bigger burned habitat to take advantage of, provided, again, another boost to nutrition and to safety. And then Homo heidelbergensis, I think, was probably able to create fire, and that's when they got the genetic mutation for extrasalivary amylase in their mouths, a starch digesting enzyme in their mouths that is most useful for breaking down cooked starches. And I don't think it's a coincidence that that's when it showed up. I think it showed up then because they were consistently getting cooked starches because they could create fire, and there was a huge increase in brain size at that point, and then also a huge increase in the complexity of their tools. And if you're going to make complex tools and you're going to bang things together and be loud and be pretty strong, or be not very strong, be weak, be slow, and focused on the work that you're doing, then you really need a safe environment in order to do it. If I think having control of fire would have made it possible for them to really ramp up the complexity of their tools, and also would have provided the nutritional boost that led to their brain size increase. So I think the question of what sets humans apart from other plant-eating animals, because I agree that we're made to eat plants. I'm on a vegan diet. I agree that that's probably healthier if it's centered around whole plant foods and you understand the supplements you need to take, which you need to take now because we're living outside of our original context. So certain things that would have been higher in certain, like minerals, for instance, that would have been higher in the soil where we evolved are less prevalent now. That's the explanation for why we need those supplements, even if you're eating the right foods. It has to do with soil quality based on different environments. It has to do with your gut bacteria. It has to do with a lot of things like that, contextual things, not to say like, oh, well, we need supplements, so a plant-based diet can't possibly be right. That doesn't make sense. That's not a nuanced approach. So, what sets us apart from other herbivores? Root vegetables and fire. We have root vegetables and fire, and they synergize together really well. And Other plant-eating animals don't have that. Pigs are smarter than your average herbivore, and they eat root vegetables, but they obviously don't control fire. I think this combination of root vegetables and fire is what led to everything that we have today. Almost everything that we have today. I think meat has very little to do with it. I think grains have very little to do with it, because that's, for the most part, just the last sort of 10, 15,000 years sort of thing. So I'm really interested. If you have any comments or questions, please leave those below. I try to get back to as many comments as I can. I want to thank you for watching. I love putting up videos like this, talking about root vegetables, seeing what people have to think. If you like the video, please like and subscribe, or even share the video so that more people can hear this. Even if I'm not totally right, I think it's an idea worth exploring. So I hope that you'll choose to do one of those things, and I hope I'll see you in another video. And always remember to eat your root vegetables. Thank you.